Okay, so Dan here knows a lot about tapping trees because he's working for a place that makes different kinds of syrup, and we're under this black walnut tree in Montville, in South Montville, Maine.
Now, the first time I tried walnut sap, it was a tree that overhang my parents' driveway, and the rack on my father's truck would brush a low-hanging branch and broke it, and then it would develop sapsicles. So I stood up a ladder and sampled the sapsicles, and they're a little bit sweeter because it's probably evaporating as it collects.
Of course.
But deliciously sweet sugar in it.
Well, and if you're sucking on an icicle and some of the ice is still ice,
yeah.
that
The
concentrates
tip
it.
of the sapsicle is usually the sweetest part because the sugar seems to collect there.
Yes, it's heavier, or it's the liquid portion.
Yeah. When it comes to tapping, there's a number of northern species you can tap, the maples, of course, and then juglones and birches. And some of the differences, the maple and the walnuts, the sap flow phenomenon is driven by stem pressure. So fluctuations, the spring freeze and thaw develops suction or vacuum through the tree, and then positive pressure when it's warm, which is different than the birches, which are more driven by root pressure. So as the soil reaches a certain temperature,
so they start later.
Yep. So the birches are a little bit later. The walnuts will run similar, late winter, early spring, similar to the maples, and I believe that they run similar sugar content as you would find with a maple tree. So it wouldn't be uncommon to have 2 bricks of sugar. There's 2% sugar in the sap.
So you said that's really similar to maple.
What's that?
You said that's similar sugar amount.
Yeah, similar sugar content to a typical.
And what did it taste like?
The taste, gosh, a very sweet syrup, like maple. If you ever had birch, it tends to be a more complex, like a balsamic sort of flavor. The walnut, I don't really know how to describe it. Yeah.
Did you like
delicious.
it?
I loved it.
The juglone property doesn't really come out in it.
No, you might think it would be bitter, but it's a really sweet.
Right. Well, when you skin a fir tree, when it's standing and leave its needles on and everything in the spring, it drips sugar water that has nothing to do with the pitch.
Yeah.
The pitch is in the bark, but the sugar water's in the cambium, and it's just straight sugar water.
Yeah.
Imagine there should be a way to do that too, but I've never heard anyone doing it. We did that by accident, and in turn skun it without cutting its head off first.
Yeah. So I think it can be tapped. Very few people do it commercially, but I think I hear more about people who tap it just to drink the sap and experiment with boiling it.
Right. And of course here we don't have the loam everywhere for them to grow.
Yep.
To be like this.
One thing I've noted is that the wood is a lot softer than a maple, so I'd take more care. Your average spout, when you drill your hole, your tap hole in a maple, the spout will naturally seat itself, and you'll kind of hear when it's seated
and if
properly.
you do it too tight, it still cracks the tree.
Right.
It's very easy even on a maple, at least on a red maple,
so
to crack the tree later.
With a walnut, I'd maybe err on the side of gently, and then if you need to seat it further, if you find it's weeping around the spout, I'd maybe set it more after. But I think it was the sort of thing that if you kept tapping, it would just drive the spout further and further, potentially cracking the wood.
Yeah.
Like a ladder.
So excited, they're so excited. Oh my god, 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 oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bees are going nuts over this tree.
Yeah.
Looks like it'll have a good crop.
Yeah.
These trees.
And I've read that chestnuts also wind pollinate. They do bees and wind. Both.
It looks like they are made for wind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's why we're smelling it so much.
Right.
Because it's blowing around the pollen. They sure make a lot of pollen.
This is definitely a tree that sticks out for looking different in the forest.
Kind of competing out the wild blueberries.
Yeah. The
It's a pretty
meadowsweet
dry
is.
site. Rocky, dry.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
Really different.
The one that we have seems to be like it prefers wet places, but it's kind of adaptable.
Yeah, that's what I'd say
and
too.
then it has a close relative where I live. This plant called ocean spray, Holodiscus. It's like
Where you live, Washington
its cousin,
State.
Yeah, and
For
the
the
ocean
video.
spray is like super drought tolerant. It just grows on the rocks, and it's like a big shrub.
So you said there's spirea.
Yeah, there's spirea, and then
Do you know of its medicinal use, the meadowsweet? I just learned yesterday.
I think I've heard that it has one, and I haven't heard what it is, so tell me.
I learned that you can harvest the flowering tops when they're freshly flowering because the petals begin to fall off very soon after as they age. But you tincture them, and it can help someone who has like a high acid digestion problem like heartburn and indigestion. So,
Really?
yeah,
Interesting.
meadowsweet.
Good to know.
Stomach sweet, meadowsweet.
Yeah,
Sweetening.
stomach.
Yes, sweet as in alkaline.
Yeah.
So,
And wintertime cattle feeding has really gotten some pasture species growing in here.
Wait, what did?
So feeding cattle out here in the wintertime, feeding them hay, has really gotten pasture species growing in here.
Oh, because of all the poop?
Yeah, dandelion and
Yep.
nice.
So you're not saying they took out trees. They just
No, they didn't
made
take out
grass
trees.
type soil.
I've been taking out trees. They did.
Yeah, but look at all these grazed, is this meadowsweet that looks just,
That's meadowsweet. Yeah,
that's
what's
just
what-
really,
that's white
really
meadowsweet.
lush meadowsweet.
Well
I don't know
fertilized.
that I've ever seen it that dark green.
One other sort of aside, I had a really slick system for getting water to the cattle, which was a siphon out of the pond. It was about a 100-foot hose that I drilled a hole in the ice and got it running to a tub that was right here. And all these shortcut branches were my high impact pad, ground protection pad around the tub. I had a tub right there, and just had it overflowing constantly. I figured it was going at about 3 gallons a minute. And just did that all winter. The overflow was on the downhill side where the cattle didn't have access.
And so it kept from freezing by running all the time.
And yeah, I just had this 3/4 inch line 100 feet long all
and there
winter.
was plenty of water.
There's plenty of water, and I actually did calculations, and 3 gallons per minute. What was it now? I think if there was no new inflows of the pond, which of course there was inflows of the pond.
Is it spring fed or does it have a stream?
I don't think it's spring fed, I think it's surface water.
But there was plenty of snow melting and then getting snowed on and then melting.
If the volume of the pond is so great, just that surface area, at 3 gallons per minute, if there was no inflows of the pond, it would have taken, I think I figured in 3 months, it could have lowered the pond 6 inches.
Oh wow.
Which is, I found that really remarkable.
That's amazing. That's a
So
great,
it was like,
great
not
system.
a worry at all once I figured that out. And it was great, and I think next winter I'm going to do one off the other side of the pond and keep the cattle in the woods over there to get some fertility in there. But, yeah. I was very pleased with myself when I figured that one out.
That's awesome.
Anyway, yeah, just a quick walk through here. When I'm trying to make a silvopasture area, one of the biggest tactics I see for starting to shift the biology and bring some grass in is feeding out hay in the winter time.
right.
Just brings so much fertility and seed in
Right.
microbiology. This hay came on a little thick, but
Well, but then the next year it'll be even better
I think
once
so.
it rots.
Got to get some more leaf cover off to help the grass get started.
But the leaves will rot underneath that.
Oh, I mean.
Oh, leaf cover above. Yeah, sun in.
Get the sun in. I'm probably going to build it.
But these are totally possible to pollard.
These small trees you're looking at?
No, the big oaks.
The big ones you by climbing and then cutting the branches up there. Is that?
Yeah, oaks. If you stub off oaks, they'll live.
Yeah.
You can cut things off of the whole trunk right to the trunk, and it will live.
Yeah.
Especially if you wait a little and do it after it's fully stocked.
Like
I mean, I haven't done all the different things. That part is just what I'm reading and
so like
thinking,
August
reading
or
and
something.
thinking. Yeah.
But
And
there's
the
some
literature
values.
says on the decreasing moon, preferably in the evening, preferably at night. No, at night. Yeah.
That's fine.
One thing said that. Evening is good. And what was the other? They're all consistent. Decreasing, evening, and there was one other. I don't remember.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I do somewhat value the oaks for their acorn crops too.
Yeah, and so
A mix could be good.
yeah, it depends what cycles you're doing, because if you're doing it for your firewood, but cutting your firewood in August so that they can eat the leaves, you can leave it for 8-year cycles and still get lots of acorns, or 10-year cycles, or whatever.
Oh yeah,
like
long cycles.
What age are those branches now? If you were to cut them off now,
Like back to the trunk? I don't know.
they're probably at least
10 or
6.
I was thinking 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
I don't really know either.
We could count the rings if we cut them off, and then we know.
Actually,
then,
I wonder if I did cut
because
one off recently.
one person, and maybe it was Hakan in his book, but one person said, rule of thumb, you start cutting the tree at the age that you want to continue cutting the tree. Like, so if you're cutting off that age branches, then you continue to cut off that age branches. Just,
Still have a knife on him?
I meant to bring the saws, actually, and didn't. What are you looking at?
I'm trying to count rings on the
Oh,
branch.
right.
Yeah, this tree's probably a little older now.
What was the name of the farm in Vermont?
Huh?
Where you were?
I was working at
apprenticed?
the Black family farm in West Vermont.
Right. And
yeah,
Sarah Flack is related to that farm.
Yeah, she was their daughter.
Who
met
wrote
Josh
a
Lucas.
grazing book.
Yeah, I met Josh Lucas, and he's in like west central Vermont. Orwell is the town. Bought some cattle from him. They're mostly Black Angus. But then we have a few here also. Hope she doesn't rub too hard on that apple tree. We have a few here that were actually born on this farm and at some point sold to a guy across town. And then I bought some from him back last year. He was ready to sell some. And most of the ones with the line on their back, there are 3 in the herd that were born on the farm.
Like this red one?
Yeah, this red one here. That mostly white one there, she's also kind of got the line back pattern. And then there's a big black line back somewhere.
And they were born here?
They were born here. They have some, I think it's maybe...
So they're Sumner's old stock?
Yeah. Some maybe Randall line back, but I think there's an old...
She's just rubbing on the little branch.
Really?
Yeah, she's not rubbing on the trunk at all. She's scratching her line back.
But they also probably have some Black Angus, some Red Angus.
I don't know if it has to be new. In the spring it was tasting like stevia to me.
Yeah, a little bit. There's actually Sumner, who used to own the whole place, still owns some fields over there. He installed it's called a cross-free nose pump. There's a company that sells them.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like a kind of a cistern type well going to a huge rock-filled reservoir, and then there's dish and then a lever that cattle learn to pump with their noses to get it, and then it drains back below the cross line. So they can use that all the time. That works well.
Yeah.
It's a permanent fixture up there, and as a result, Sumner always fed the cattle out in that field.
So it got extra poop.
Fertilized the field.
Yeah.
It's just over-fertilization. I hate to see it when the fertility would do so much good elsewhere, and it becomes excessive in one area. So I'm trying to, my answer was that siphon water to our primary to feed them.
Yeah.
So the nose pumps may be great in the right application. But anyway, so this is like the permanent water line. This is a quick connect.
Yeah.
It's like they come out like that, stick back in like that.
Yeah.
Nicely made.
Like thinking about it.
Because water sometimes it will like follow a channel made by root, follow along the edges of a root.
Interesting. Because
So
I would just assume that roots would be a good thing.
But maybe more than that. I mean, and like alder is probably great because alder is smaller and doesn't have necessarily big roots. The other thing actually that might be a bigger worry is if you ever got a big tree and fell over and took the root ball with it.
That would be terrible. But I was thinking pollarded oaks.
Okay.
Stormproof oaks.
Yeah. There was actually
Might be a good dike.
Pretty hungry caterpillars.
I think, no, is that
Oh, there
a
are-
soft
Those
fly?
little guys, they look
I think
similar
those
to
are
what
soft flies
was.
sometimes.
Yeah, they are. I think.
Yeah.
They look similar to what was on my.
They're raising their